Hey everybody, just 5 minutes ago, I was physically intimate with a man. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit because it raised a lot of interesting questions in my mind. This person was a good friend of mine, and actually you all know who he is, and I almost feel like I shouldn't have even said that. I guess no, I won't say his name. I mean, it's just the reason why I don't even want to talk about specifically who it is. The reason why I want to talk about it is because he's a good friend of mine, and you all know who he is. Not saying specifically. I don't think that he would have any problem with me saying, Pierre, shit! I definitely shouldn't have said that. Well, no, actually, that's okay. Yes, my friend Pierre Lafaux, I guess it depends on what your definition of sex is, but you know, we were friends. And there's this I guess is sort of the reason why I wanted to talk about it, because there's sort of this shame that I feel, it's a very strange feeling. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming, based on the demographics of my user base that most of you understand what this is like. But the reason why I want to talk about it is because I remember when I was a teenager and we would have, we would go over friends' houses and things, and the girls were always sort of able to cuddle and be physically affectionate with one another. I remember they used to call it cuddle puddles. I don't know if they still call it that, but that's what we called it back in the day. And that didn't make them lesbians, I mean, I think a couple of my friends ended up lesbians, but in general, they could just sort of, they were just comfortable with each other. And women and girls, it's sort of more socially acceptable for them to, hug each other, hold each other's hands, play with each other's hair, touch each other and all that sort of stuff. And that just always struck me, because thinking about it going the other way, the idea that a group of straight male friends would ever do something like that, seemed like this whole big social taboo, even though consistently there is a lot of homoeroticism throughout straight male friendships and friend groups. I remember when we were in the boys' locker room in high school, the big game everybody used to play was show each other your dicks, or slap each other's ass, that sort of thing. And it was a joke. It was sort of funny. It was funny to do gay stuff, and it was like it was all bits and jokes. And I guess my point here is that just because, I have never been somebody who was concerned with masculinity, and I think that fragile masculinity is a huge problem amongst men. I think it's symptomatic of the patriarchy, and I'm not trying to sound like a SJW. They still call him that, SJW, social justice warrior. I care about social justice, of course, but I think that toxic masculinity, the belief that you have to be a big, strong, tough, manly guy, and you gotta, do all this stuff. You gotta lift weights and you gotta be sweaty, and you gotta, do all that to be considered a big, strong man. I think that leads people to closing off so many doors of the human experience that they might otherwise, it's just, I don't think that expressing, your physical affection towards your friends means that that there's romantic love there. I mean, it's I just don't think here's the thing. I am so confident in my heterosexuality. I am so confident in my masculinity. I'm so confident that I'm straight, and I'm so confident that I am a man, that things like, exploring my male friends physically, dressing up as a woman, putting wigs on, putting makeup on, pretending to be a woman, all that sort of stuff. I don't think that all of that makes you any less let me put it this way. The only reason why I am able to do that stuff as confidently as I am is because I am so confident in the fact that I am a heterosexual man that it doesn't bother me. There's so many men who, if they even entertain that idea, and I've even, if you ask 9 out of 10 men in a bar, will you come and blow me? Most of them are going to punch you in the face. And I just think that is so tragic because that is more insecurity. Toxic masculinity leads you to being such an insecure person that you're not willing to, you're just missing out on so much. I mean, the thing is, it's I don't know. I mean, I think that so many people are not willing to ask themselves these difficult questions. So many men. And that is really a shame, because I think that one of the reasons why women love me, women love dating me, women love fucking me, women love, being my friend, is because I am emotionally intelligent, I am insightful, I am secure in myself, I'm sensitive, I'm tender, I'm passionate, I care about people's pleasure. Do you know how many times I've laid with a woman and afterwards she said, wow, I cannot believe how many of my partners who were men previously did not care about my pleasure at all. Did not care about me really one iota. So that'd be my tip to all the young men out there who are watching this. The bar is so low that making even the slightest effort will make you better than any woman's previous male partners automatically. That's the thing that upsets me about this, male loneliness, incel stuff. It's so easy. It is so easy. It's just that guys think in the wrong direction. All they have to do is be self-aware. I think, honestly, I do really think that self-awareness, when it comes to really anybody, but particularly if you're a man and you're trying to ask out a woman, and you're trying to have sex with a woman or whatever, having any ounce of self-awareness, even prefacing what you're going to say, but hey, by saying like, hey, I don't want to be weird, but you have really nice tits. That has worked for me countless times. being funny. So if you're self-aware, if you're funny, if you don't have to be attractive. Just all you have to do is treat the woman the same way that you would treat one of your bros, you know? I think that the magical synthesis of a fulfilling human relationship is taking in your mind the way that you would treat a friend and the way that you would treat a romantic partner, and putting those two things together and treating everybody like that in your life. Because we so limit ourselves based on the category of you know, how we can categorize our relationships, and therein, based on that category, you know, there's some things that we're supposed to do with family members, and there's some things we're not supposed to do with family members, and there's some things that we would do with a friend that we wouldn't do with a family member, and vice versa. And I just think that all of those things are societally put in place really for no reason. And you have to examine your biases. You have to examine and say, why do I feel like I have to be this way with this person, but not that way with that person, right? So long story short, you know, it's I just would really like to see people be a lot more open-minded about this kind of stuff, because I shouldn't have to feel like I have to get on here and defend myself. You know, I still get people in my comments who say like, oh, you know, you're not gay, right, Dan? Because I made a couple videos a long time ago where I was like screaming in my car, I am straight. And that was true. You know, I will admit that I just got a little worked up. I think that sometimes on social media it's easy to forget that you know, it's easy to forget that you have to kind of take things, you've just got to, I'm straight. Okay. But anyway, that's not even the point of this video. Like I said, I'm so confident in that I can say that, and I can know I mean it 100% honestly, regardless of whose dick I've sucked, you know, regardless of whose pussy I've you know, done whatever. That doesn't change who you are. You are still the same exact person that you were before. Eddie, you're going to have to go in there and bleep out the name at the beginning of this, because I know that it wouldn't. No, actually, Eddie, don't. You don't have to, because that would defeat my whole point here. Pierre, now here's the other thing. Pierre is gay. Pierre is a closeted gay man, and he has told me honestly that that's what he is, you know. But he is so afraid of anybody in his life knowing. He's so afraid of, you know, it getting out on the internet. He's even told me, you know, please don't say this in a video. And of course I'm always like, yes, of course I would never do that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, well, it's not fair to you that you should have to feel that way. It's not fair that society has made you feel like you have to feel that way. And so it's kind of like, you know, I remember one time, I was at a swimming pool, and there was a kid crying on the side, and his mother was like, get in that pool, and pushed him in. And at first I thought that was very, very distressing. But then the more I lived my life, I understood, yeah, sometimes you just gotta, that's where that expression comes from, right? Go in the pool. Go in the pool. The deep end of the pool. Just go right in. You know. So anyway. Yeah. I have no regrets. And if there's one thing that I hope that you all take from my YouTube, it is to be more open-minded. Have a good one.